Hey, everybody, this is Shambhu, and welcome to the first episode of this podcast. I don't have a title for it, but we'll get one later. I'm joined by a truly gifted composer, Leo Steinriede, who co created with me my latest single, Resilience, our latest single, Resilience. And we recorded this track live in studio, no click, no script, just two guitars listening and responding in real time. I want to introduce Leo and then get into how the track came to be and how this ambient blues feel became a shared language. So, tell me a little bit about how you got into music and your journey as a guitarist and a composer, because you've accomplished a lot, yet you're only like 21, 22.
Yeah, 22. Yeah,
Yeah.
so both my parents love music. I was raised in a very musical household. There's always music playing. When I was a little kid, my mom played the saxophone, and she picked it up again, so she's been working on the saxophone. And my dad, he's got like a bunch of different guitars, and now he mostly plays bass, but he had like 8 to 10 different guitars around the house, and I would just be a little kid, pick them up and strum, and always like different. My, especially my dad loves like all music. He's A lot of people say they like everything, but this guy really likes everything from classical to blues and country and reggae, and he's very knowledgeable about almost all of the genres that he's into. He's his favorite records and all that. So he really put me onto a lot of different avenues in music from a young age. And the guitar came into my life when I was playing the piano, and then I kind of switched teachers, and then I was like, oh, it's not working out, whatever. I don't want to play. I don't want to play an instrument. My parents were like, you have to play an instrument. Because I was like second grade. You have to play an instrument. I said, okay, we have guitars at home. I'll just pick up a guitar. And I thought they weren't going to follow through on it. I thought it was going to last 2 weeks. In my head, I was like, this will be easy. I'll do this for a couple weeks and call it, go play basketball or whatever, soccer, whatever I wanted to do. Um, but actually it stuck, and then some became something that still is a huge part of my life. It's an everyday pursuit of trying to get better at it.
You graduated recently from Manhattan School of Music, where I also attended
That's right.
when I was about your age. And you were lucky. I guess your parents found you really great teachers right from the start, or did you find them? They must have found them.
Yeah, so I went to public school in a really good music program at my elementary school, middle school, and high school. I played the trombone from the fourth grade to the 10th grade, and I went to Lower Marion High School, where uh, coincidentally same high school Kobe Bryant went to, for those keeping score.
Wow.
And yeah, so I played, and then I played in the bands at school a bit, jazz ensembles. But I also took like guitar lessons outside of school at the local guitar shop, place that was 10-minute drive from my house, Danny's Guitar Shop in Narberth, Pennsylvania. I took guitar lessons there, and then I went to Settlement Music School, which is like also basically down the street from my house. And then when I was in eighth grade, my parents said I should start at the Clef Club, which was an extremely influential like learning environment for me. I started there when I was like 12 or 13, and I met a very good friend of mine, Aidan McKeon, who's one of the great rising saxophonists on the scene in New York right now. We met like the um, first day of the Clef Club program. There's every Saturday, and we've been playing together at this point 9 years. And he's a Juilliard. He's going to graduate this year. Yeah, the Clef
Wow.
Club was a huge thing for me because it was a great outlet to do whatever I wanted. Great with this great teacher, Mr. Hines, I believe he was the founder of the education program at the Clef Club, and he was the artistic director, and I think he just retired recently. But he really encouraged us to pursue everything we wanted. If we wanted to play Thelonious Monk, that's what we were doing. If we wanted to play free jazz, that's what we were doing. If we were going to play smooth jazz and some more gospel or whatever, fusion, whatever it is, he pushed us to do that. So that was a really influential experience for me to go through that program for 5, 6 years.
How did you get into jazz at such a young age? Most people are listening to whatever's on the radio and those kind of musical genres and forms, but
Yeah.
you got into something that was much more complex. How'd that happen?
Yeah, so when I was in seventh grade, I got really into Led Zeppelin, and I learned all the Led Zeppelin solos and Jimmy Page riffs and all that. And then I figured I was going to be a rock star. But my parents were like, "That's cool, but you got to learn about how music really works. Doesn't matter what kind of music you're playing. You have to learn the mechanics of the music. Why does it work the way that it does? Which is still something I'm after to this day. It's just still studying always, even though I graduated from college or whatever. And so my parents pushed me to study jazz because it takes a really high level of musicianship to be able to play this music well. So that was something that they pushed me to do was they said that's fine if you want to go be a rock star, but you got to learn about how music works, and jazz is a good way to do that. So I started at the clef club in eighth grade, and my dad said when he said if you like studying music, you could go to college and study music. They have a school called Berkeley. They that's all they do is music. I was like, oh, that sounds cool. I didn't even know what college was. And I said, okay, well, probably, I guess when I'm done with high school, I'll go to college and I'll study music. So that became like a goal of mine was to just go and study music at Berkeley or MSM or Juilliard, any of the big schools where that's the main focus. But yeah, jazz found me because of the educational things that you can achieve from jazz, like the understanding of why music works the way that it does, and harmony, theory, form is important foundational things.
So, in addition to the guitar, you also became a jazz arranger and a composer. And that's how I came to know of you because you had won some kind of Duke Ellington award from Jazz at Lincoln Center when you were 17.
Yeah, yeah. Through the Clef Club, I met a very close friend of mine, this guy Joe Block, who's a really good piano player. I met him because I went to a concert with a bunch of different arrangers, and he had a chart on there, and it was my favorite one. And he was the youngest one, and I was like, oh my God, he was the youngest arranger. I was like, I gotta learn what this guy knows. So I sent him a message. We never met before. I was like, hey, can you teach me what you know? And so
How old are you?
I was like 14 or 15. So
That's
I
insane.
loved what he was doing, and but I didn't have a lot of, not guidance, but I didn't understand what was out there yet. I wasn't hip to Duke Ellington, Thad Jones. I didn't know about any of that, and he put me on.
Wow.
Was just an extremely important mentor. So he won that same competition. Jazz Lincoln Center has this great program called Essentially Ellington, where all these bands
Wow.
come and compete from around the country and now around the world. And I think this is the 25th or I think the 30th year they're doing it. As part of the competition, they have a cash prize of $1,000 to any student that wants to write a big band chart. You can send it in, and if you win, you'll get $1,000. They'll fly you out, drive you out to New York, and Jazz Lincoln Center Orchestra plays your chart. Unfortunately, when I won, it was 2020, so COVID happened, so that kind of uh, fell away. That was a foundational thing for me in terms of establishing my confidence and okay, I can do this. Like maybe I have something here that is worth expanding on further.
And I found you because I read about it. And in your social media, you had offered to give arranging lessons for $40 a lesson. And it's during the pandemic. And I thought, you know what? I always wanted to do this. I studied with a guy named Dr. Maury Deutsch while I was going to Manhattan School. And he's considered the most prolific jazz arranger in America in history
Mm.
in terms of everything he's done. And he taught me musical psychology and all kinds of great stuff, the harmonic series. He pretty much took what Manhattan School of Music was teaching me and moved it into the stratosphere,
Yeah,
explaining the harmonic series and all that. Manhattan wasn't even talking about that.
for sure.
So we met, I started studying with you, and here I am, much older than you, learning took us off with what you're teaching me and just like very challenging stuff. And then maybe a year and a half later, we stayed in touch. I met you for lunch a couple of times. And then somehow we got into the idea of maybe doing a song together.
Yeah, yeah. So we did the first one was
It's about 2
2024.
years
Is it
ago.
2024?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe 20. Yeah. I think it was right after I got back from India. We recorded
that's
it
right. Okay. Is it
and we had
24 or
talked about it.
2023? I don't
Yeah.
remember.
I think 24.
24. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so the first one we did openings. We just went out to your place and we literally just plugged in the guitars and hit record. And then I think we found like a small portion. We said, "Oh, this is nice. Let's hold on to this." And then from there, I expanded the form. I remember I wrote down. I was like, "Okay, this is going to be the form we'll play. We'll play this two or three times
Yeah.
through." And then that one to me it was sounds a little bit rougher around the edges than the one we did now in terms of just being like something that came from like a single experience of recording it straight through, as opposed to what we're doing, the one we did now, which is I think a little bit more calculated in terms of this needs to come in here, this is going to come in there, we're going to bring this up here, we have these delays like this, all sorts of stuff like that. The first one we did was just pretty much just direct in, and then that was it. It's not as much work on the
Yeah.
back end.
We put it out, and then within 2 weeks of putting it out, Sirius XM Spa channel picked it up.
Totally.
And there it was on the air, and it's still running at least once a week right
That's
now.
great.
So that's a song, Openings, a great tune. And so we had talked about doing a follow-up, because if that one found an audience, maybe people were interested. And from my standpoint, I've been doing a lot of acoustic guitar work, and I was excited that this kind of electric ambient sound was getting a little bit of a receptive audience from the people who listen to my music. And I thought maybe I could go in that direction in addition to the acoustic direction. And so that's how Resilience came about. You did the same thing. You came over to my place. We went in the studio. We just started jamming. And then some ideas came out, and then some form of the song came out. And we just laid it down. It was all of 2, 3 hours, and we were done.
Yeah. And then from there, we had a lot of, I guess, discussion about fine tuning it. And to me, this one feels really polished.
There
It
was a lot of work that went into the post production
definitely,
on my side.
and I think I definitely came into doing this one with more, like having done openings, had more of an ideas of what can we do on this? What would be nice for just for any song, like um to like we used the Nashville tuning guitar. And then that was
Yeah.
really kind of a subtle thing, but that it just opens another, it's another color in the sound palette that's nice to include there. Doing that, and then we messed around with different kinds of delays, and we also the this is more for the nerds, music recording nerds out there, but we recorded the first one pretty much direct with all the effects in, and this one we were able to adjust the effects after the fact, and I think that makes the
Yeah.
sound much more put together. Um, in terms of being less of
A
like
lot
a
of
less of a jam and more of a polished experience to listen to it.
Yeah, and I always give a lot of credit to Todd Boston, who mixes and masters
Totally.
all of my stuff, and he did a tremendous
You
job
did a
on
great
this
job,
one.
yeah.
The big challenge with this one was how we were going to deal with the echoes. If we put them on the melody, they seemed to be cool if we had the right length of the echo,
Yeah,
speed of the echo, and the length of the echo.
when we were working on that, like you sent me a clip or the file and you said, what do you think of this one with the echoes? And I was like, I hadn't considered. I was like, oh, it feels like the echoes it's on too high right now. But then I hadn't even thought. I was like, oh, this could be a whole other song. It could be, oh, we have the echoes like right here. We probably need them here or wherever. But what if we did a
Yeah,
song where we emphasize the echoes here? So that could be something to explore for the next one too. So it's cool when like you have different ideas on something and it's we don't need to discount the idea. We can just pick one but keep it in our back pocket and put it on for the next one.
yeah, we can.
Yeah.
We'll do another session. But with Resilience, we're getting a lot of feedback from reviewers and people who really dig the tune, and they're saying it feels very intuitive. It feels really live. It feels two people communicating through the guitars. Really good comments. That's a lot different than how you do jazz, how you write music and how you write these arrangements, which are more prescribed. This kind of intuitive stuff, was that new for you? Like I come from a very intuitive space, having meditated, and I just get into a feeling and hold the guitar and let the music flow through the guitar, whatever flows. And that's the approach we took to record, but that's not normally what you do, is it?
It's a loaded question in a sense as I think ideally um there is a lot of intuition that's going to go into playing jazz. To me, the backbone of jazz composition is integrating written material and improvised material. You know, you have your theme and then the variations on the theme can be improvised. But in practice, those who are jazz fans or musicians will know that there's a lot more practice that goes into putting together a solo than just the spontaneity of the moment. There's a lot of practice in terms of understanding the form and where you want to place things. We're understanding the harmony and how each chord moves from one to the next. Some people have licks that they like to play on everything. So there is a lot of spontaneity, but there's a lot of prescribed elements to the music as well, I would say, especially when you're working with a big band, which is what I would do a lot, where you're going to write every part for every person. And some of these people are not going to improvise the whole time, or there may not even be any solos in the piece at all. But coming into your world in terms of the ambient new age environment was really nice because it could bring the kind of that you have to play jazz, just being able to pick up and play music with anybody, knowing the same songs, being able to feel out where are they at with their solo or with the dynamics. Do we need to match? Do we need to do something different? So it was cool to be able to take that and then bring it into your world, which is a lot more of question and answer, which sometimes a lot of jazz solos can feel like answer. They're telling you so many things. In your world, it's we're dealing with a lot more. We're going to ask a question musically, and then sometimes you don't answer it, and sometimes it's the listener is going to answer it themselves. And you're going to put me
Yeah.
onto that. Allow the space for the listener to breathe and to fill in the music for themselves. And that sort of philosophy has really actually affected my jazz playing as well, because it's you don't always have to tell the audience everything. It doesn't have to be, which is what I was doing before. It doesn't have to be answered. You just ask a question and put it out there, and then the audience might fill in whatever they want and have a different understanding of it based on that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that I always say the listener completes the song. We all listen to a song differently and we derive a different story from the listening experience. Where does a song fit contextually into my musical understanding, my musical life? I think that's the same with jazz and new age, as I call it, kind of new age jazz that I do. Yeah. Like when you hear the Resilient song, like what do you feel from the tune now?
Man, it's a lot of different. There's a lot of different things. I like the arc that we gave it. It's something that I'm listening to just in terms of the musical things, and then the emotional part is a different, separate thing. Um, Part of it is like I'm hearing the journey in terms of the arc of the song, but also the literal journey that it took to get to your place to get the hall for me, but also the journey of where the music like has been in terms of the creation of it. Like when we started, it was a completely different thing than when where we ended up with it. We recorded it really quick, and then we really ironed out all the details, and it's man, it feels great because everything is right where I want it to be. When you listen or create music, but really as a like a to me as a listener, and you listen to sometimes your own music and everything is the way you wanted it. It's like coming home and dinner's already cooking. You can smell it. It's oh like I'm back. It smells good. Um, it's a weird analogy for sound, but it's like you come back to something that's already familiar and it's just as it should be.
Love that. Let's just jump back into your arranging composing career. You recently had one of your tunes performed by Wynton Marsalis in Jazz at Lincoln Center. This is another tune. What was the title of that? And tell me about that whole experience.
Yeah, so that tune was called Blues 25. It was like the very early in this year, it's like January 2025, probably like the first week. And when the new year rolls around, you're thinking about your kind of expectations for the year, maybe setting resolutions. And I realized like I've written so many different tunes and so many arrangements, but I've never written a blues head, just like a 12 bar blues head. And so I sat down and I was like, I'm gonna write a blues head. I was it kind of came at a time when I was listening to a lot of Oliver Nelson, one of my favorite arrangers, composers, and I was just felt really inspired by this record he has called Full Nelson, which is really great with Clark Terry's on it, Phil Woods, um, which are really killing soloists, and of course Oliver Nelson. And so I wrote this blues head, and then I didn't really do anything with it. I just played a guitar trio or different bands here and there. But then Wynton Marsalis, I got the call, maybe March, yeah, March to have this chart in for their concert called Contemporary Jazz Masterpieces. And
Just come out of the blue. You just got a call from Jazz at Lincoln Center. We want you to do a tune.
yes and no, yes and no. I the day before I'd sent an email to try to book something at Dizzy's Club, and I honestly wasn't expecting to get a response. But I did, and I got a response saying, "Hey, here's my phone number. Can you call me?" And so I called to Georgina and at Jazz at Lincoln Center, and she asked me to do this chart for their concert, and that Wynton specifically asked for me to be on to do the chart, which was kind of mysterious because I don't really know Wynton very well. I've met him a couple times, but I sent that email the day before. Um, Joe Block plays with Wynton a lot, and he does arrangements for that band. And also my mentor is David Berger, who is a fantastic composer and arranger from he's actually from New York, and he worked with Wynton a lot back in the 90s. He founded the Essentially Ellington program. I think he might have put in a good word for me too. So it was just a convergence of a lot of different avenues that I think led to this. And it had been a goal of mine for so long that I was really happy when I got this opportunity. I was like, I've wanted this for so long, but all of these times that I really had wanted it uh, over the last 4 or 5 years, I probably wasn't ready for it. And maybe you're never truly ready for something, but in the moment I felt I have the tools. I have the tools and the vision to do a good job on this. I was really happy that I got this opportunity at the time that I did, especially like 1 month, basically a month before finishing school. It was the best way to finish out my time at school. It's just write a chart for the
What an
best band in
amazing
the
thing.
world. Great opportunity.
Exactly. It sounds like you'd spend your whole life wanting to have a piece performed by Wynton Marsalis and Jazz at Lincoln Center Orchestra. That would be the capstone of a career. But for you, it was in your senior year of college
Yeah,
that this occurred. It's really, just a great testament to you and how much talent you have in a diverse set of areas, not only as a guitarist, as a composer, as an arranger. Now you're playing in this kind of new age jazz sandbox with me. And on your right hand, you're dealing with big band and all that kind of stuff. And people don't realize how complex it is to write for an orchestra and conceptualize for that kind of format. But trust me, as someone who aspired to do that, I'm in awe of your abilities there.
well, thank you. Yeah, thank
Absolutely.
you so much. Yeah, it's cool doing
Yeah.
different stuff. I have a lot of different things I want to do. Like a film scoring class at MSM. That was like one of the best classes I've ever taken, honestly. And that sort of was a completely different avenue I want to explore, different approach. Love rock music. I love blues. There's a blues jam session I want to go to. Ooh, maybe I'll do that tomorrow night. It's down in the village. I haven't been here for 4 years. I've never been. But yeah, there's so many different avenues of music to explore. To me, when we said let's do a song together, it's not really don't like to discriminate about this is what I do, this is what I don't do. Let's do it.
Yeah. I was grateful when you popped the idea. I thought about it, but you were the one who said, "Yeah, let's do it. I'll come out. We'll do it." Because I thought it was like an unusual diversion from this very defined direction you were going in
Right.
jazz and big band jazz and all that. But it worked out, and it is working out because I'm really proud of both of the songs, and
Totally.
we'll see where it all goes. Anything else you kind of want to share about the song or your life, or where do you see yourself going with your career? Because you're really young. When I was 22, I was saying to myself, man, everybody said I'd be like a big star in music. How the hell do I get there?
Yeah, it's I have no idea. It's tough because there's so many things going on in my life that I want to explore and that you don't have time for everything all the time. So you have to make certain choices about what you want to do, whether that's actively or by just pursuing the opportunities that are in front of you. Duke Ellington's kind of idea about that sort of thing. Life is like you're walking down the street and you got to get from west 137th Street to east 56th Street, and if you have to cross Central Park or whatever, and along the way you're gonna have to ask people how to get there, but you may end up at West 110th Street and or East 110th Street or wherever, and you'll like it. And so you can just walk through life, take it one turn at a time, see where you end up, and enjoy what you're doing in the moment. So that's really what I'm trying to do is enjoy when I'm working on the projects and the people that I'm associated with. If we're working on singles, let's do that. If I'm working with this band, let's do that. Just going as far as I can in the avenues that I'm in, and also trying to expand into new avenues. I'm trying to want to have a trio, so I'm trying playing with different drummers, bass players. What music am I going to play in the trio? We're going to play my own songs. We're going to play standards. We're going to play pop songs, rock songs. Dipping my feet into the vast pool of everything that's available within music. I want to try to do as much as I can.
Do you see yourself putting out an album of your jazz arrangements one day?
I think so, yeah, but it would have to be the right situation in terms of I really would want all the music to fit together to just
Yeah.
be a really enjoyable listening experience. I love to study like certain records and why do they sound the way that they do? What's the big picture on this? And I would want my record to feel the same way, to fit into the lineage of great jazz records in the big band tradition is a big feat. So I really want it to be very calculated and for it to be a solid effort.
And you're based in New York. Do you have anything coming up in the next couple of months? You got a lot of
New York, yeah.
performances.
There's a few things I'm working on that are in the works. The big one is I'm back at Dizzy's February 16th with my big band, but I'm musical directing for the Future of Jazz Orchestra, which is a big
Wow.
band that has a residency there. And I just worked with them, it's amazing, on in 2 months ago, July, end of July, so a month and a half ago. And yeah, it was great. So they asked me to come back and do it again. So probably write a new set of music for that. Other than that, I'm still got some things in the works in terms of sending some emails to get some gigs lined up.
Right on.
Yeah,
This has been cool talking with you. I've been talking with Leo Steinriede, who co-wrote and co-performed Resilience, which is a single that we just put out. We'll put some links to the single. Hope everybody listens to it. Any closing words
yeah.
on my premiere
Thank
podcast?
you so much for having me on. It's been super cool. Looking forward to seeing the ones
Yeah.
that you do coming up.
Yeah, I hope this one comes out. We'll see. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.